Alright, so welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be focusing on something that is mostly linked to the presentations part, but you can also apply it everywhere else. In a stand-up, in a meeting, and even in a one-on-one conversation, right? So this has a huge role to play, and that is the structure of your presentations, your conversations, your stand-ups, meetings, or whatever it is. In short, what the structure of your speech should be, right? Before that, if you don't know me, of course, my name is Farrukh. I am from Pakistan and I am serving as a certified Pro90d speech coach, working with clients and training clients all over the world, helping them with their speech. So if you're also looking for one-on-one help, I have a link down below for you in the description where you can book a free one-on-one assessment session with me, and then we can see what the next steps could be for you with regards to the coaching, with regards to the self-study, or with regards to the virtual speech masters that we have recently started, where people come and give presentations and get real-time feedback. So it is actually an excellent place to use whatever you have been learning from the Pro90d speech system. All right. So without any further ado, let's get into the content of this video, and that is the structure of your speech. And it's really, really simple. It's something that you might already know, but maybe you might not have implemented it a lot, or you might have implemented it a lot, but start implementing it from now. It would make the structure extremely clear wherever you're speaking. Before we get into that, I want to ask you one thing. Whenever you're speaking to someone, what is the major goal of speaking? Why are you speaking to someone? What do you think is the reason? Yes, you're right. Well, the reason is because you want them to understand what you have to say. And if they can't understand what you have to say, then there is almost no role of speaking. And the reason that I'm mentioning it is because most of the times you would find that people are all over the place. They would be speaking about one thing, they would switch on towards the second thing, then they would move on back towards the first, they would speak about this, they would speak about that. In short, you would find them all over the place. And what would happen after that? What do you think would happen after that? Well, the person might not understand, they might ask you to say that once again, and this might make your speech go down and down and down. So the structure is something which is extremely, extremely important. Well, so the Pro90d speech system says that always divide your presentations into categories and numbers. I'll say that once again. The Pro90d speech system says to always divide your presentations into categories and numbers. Now, what are the major advantages to it? So there are advantages from both perspectives. There is an advantage from your perspective as well, and there is an advantage from the perspective of the audience as well. And they both are almost the same. So the first advantage from your perspective is that it would make your mind very clear. In your mind, you would know what you are speaking about. So your mind won't get jumbled up while you're speaking, and you would listen to it a lot from people. Well, whenever I'm in a high pressure speaking situation, my thoughts are all over the place. I can't remember the content, I don't know what I have to say, and all of that. But if you can just do this simple thing first in your head of dividing the presentations into categories and numbers, it would make your mind very clear, right? You would know that, all right, I need to speak about these 4 points in this presentation, or I need to speak about these 5 points. And you would know the first point is this, second point is this, third is this, fourth is this, fifth is this. So your mind wouldn't get jumbled up into it. You don't need to memorize the content because you're fluent in a language. Your mind knows what words to use. You just need to focus on the main ideas that you need to speak about. All right, I need to speak about 5 ideas, maybe 2 ideas, 4 ideas, whatever it is. The first idea is this, second is this, third is this, fourth is this, and fifth is this. That's it. And then when you get on speaking, you know that I'm on my first point right now, then you move to the second point, then to the third point. So it makes the structure quite clear in your own mind. But as I said, not just in your own mind, but in the minds of the audience as well, in the minds of the listener as well. They would know that he is going to or she is going to give me these points, or he or she is going to speak about these main ideas in this presentation. And when they would walk away from it, they would take those main ideas, main points. All right, so from this presentation, we got these 2 main points. We got these 4 main points. So that would make it extremely clear in the minds of the audience as well. Like they won't be confused. He or she was speaking about this, now they're speaking about this, now they're going back to that, because in that way, the audience is not going to take something out of it. The only thing that they are going to take out of that presentation might be confusion. In order to avoid that, always make sure that you divide it into categories and numbers, right? Even when you're not sure about how many points you're going to say, you can mention towards the start that I would like to speak about a few points, or I would like to speak about 4 to 5 points when you're not sure. And then you start mentioning the first, second, third, fourth. Sometimes what might happen is that at the start, you might say 5, and then you might only say 4. Then someone from the audience might say, hey, you said 5 points. So what was the 5th point? Then you can give them the 5th point. Or then you can say, I'm not exactly sure of the 5th one, I'm going to give you 4. You saw what happened? It kept the audience more engaged. When at the start you said 5 points, so they were waiting for the 5th point as well when you said 4. So that is something which makes the audience more engaged. So first, having the structure crystal clear in your mind, I'm going to speak about these main ideas, these main points, and then having to practice it yourself. Before going out in a meeting, in a stand-up, or in a presentation, if you just practice it by yourself, first, it would make it further clear in your own mind, and then you would go out there and present it with extreme clarity. So that is, of course, a major advantage. Then you start off your presentation. You mention that I'm going to speak about 4 points, 5 points, then you give them the points, and if you can, also summarize towards that, so that if someone has missed something, they can get that towards the end. So that should be the major structure of your presentations. Then you can further divide the numbers into categories as well. All right, I'm going to speak about 5 points. The first is this, the second is this. Now, there are 2 parts, A and B, to the second point, and then you give them those parts. After that, you move on towards the third point, the fourth point. So your head would be very clear from the start, so you would present with clarity, and when the audience leaves, they would also have that main clarity in their minds. And as we spoke about at the start, that is the major reason why you're giving a presentation, why you're giving an interview, while you're giving a stand-up, whether it's a one-on-one conversation. The major reason for conversations or speaking situations is not how someone would judge you, but it's whether you're being able to articulate your thoughts, articulate what you have to say in the most clear and precise manner. And this structure of presentations would help you with that, right? So start the presentations and then also articulate to the audience that I'm going to speak about this many points. Then you give them the points, the categories, numbers, and then towards the end, you can summarize. And this is a structure that is not only helpful in presentations, it is helpful almost everywhere, even believe it or not, in a one-on-one conversation. It's just that in a one-on-one conversation, you might not say at the start, I'm going to speak about 2 points or 4 points, but you can have that in your mind. I'm going to go up to him and speak to him on this. This is the idea that I want to speak to him about. Or I'm going to speak to him about these 2 points, these 4 points. In a one on one conversation, just having that structure in your mind that, okay, I'm going to speak about these points or this main idea. It would keep your mind very clear. And when your mind is very clear, you would articulate your thoughts, you would articulate what you have to say in a very, very, very clear manner. So, this is, of course, something which is very powerful. All right, so before ending this video, I would like to give you something else as well. And that part is the engagement part of your presentations or stand ups, meetings, or whatever it is. There are so many parts that go hand in hand with it, and you can do various things to make your presentations, your conversations, and everything more engaging. But I'm going to be giving you one in this video, and this is, I would say, one of the most important ones. And that is always making sure that you ask the audience a question or two while you are giving a presentation or whatever it is, right? That might be a question that is rhetorical, or that might be a question that you want them to answer. So maybe you ask them, all right, so this is a very, very important thing. Now, why do you think it's important? All right, would you like to answer? Would you like to answer? All right, this is a reason, but also this. Would you like to answer? And then you would see that you would get more answers from the audience as you ask them those questions. Why do you think it would be helpful? Because it would make the audience more engaged instead of if you're just speaking and the audience might be getting less engaged. So just to keep them more engaged into it, just to make them involved into what you're saying, it shouldn't be just you speaking and the people are listening. You should make the people engaged, ask them some things, have them speak up as well. Or you might ask them some questions that you don't necessarily want them to answer, like I just mentioned towards the start of this video. So there are 5 reasons for it. What do you think is the first reason? Well, the first reason is, and you would find me doing a lot of this in my videos. So whenever I say, so what do you think is the first reason? It might make you go in your head and actually think about what might be the first reason. So what is also happening right here is that you are becoming more engaged into what I'm saying, or the audience would become more engaged into what you're saying because you are making them having to think about what you're going to say next. The moment you ask them something, it would make them go into their heads and look for the answers. And maybe you want them to answer, or maybe you just want them to answer in their heads and then you give them the answer. So your presentations, your stand-ups would go up to that next level if you make them more and more interactive. And I also like to do that a lot in one-on-one conversations, right? Just ask them something when you're speaking. It would make you realize, first of all, whether they are listening or not, or whether they are in their own thoughts, right? And then it would also make you, or it would also help you keep them more engaged into what they are saying. And that is exactly what you want, right? No one wants to be speaking and the people are in their own heads, having to think about their work, their school, their social life, and whatever. You want them to be tuned into what you're saying. So once again, adding those categories and numbers and adding the question and answer structure, believe it or not, it would take your presentations, your conversations, your stand-ups, your meetings, your work meetings up to that next level. All right, so once again, we have left down some links in the description. you can for sure go ahead and book a one-on-one free assessment session with me, and we can discuss about what the best next steps could be for you. So, working on one-on-one with me, I can surely help you take your speech and life towards that next level, right? And then we can discuss about what the best options could be for you. And as I said, I've also left down a link where you can join for free one session of the Pro90d Virtual Speech Masters, where you get to give presentations with the people who are the part of the Pro90d speech system, and you get real time feedback from us. And then you can also join that. And that is, of course, a brilliant place to use whatever you have been learning from the Pro90d speech system, from the course, from the coaching, and all of that. And of course, with the one on one coaching as well, with the Pro90d speech, with the Pro90d Virtual Speech Masters as well, you would get these courses of the Pro90d speech system as well. So once again, I look forward to seeing you inside the next video, and may you be blessed. Thank you.